Next, the Gunners are second in the table ahead of their trip to Brighton, who haven't won any of their last 8 games.
I think that's what we showed the last games. Of course, the results were not good, but in the end, we showed really good performances. We showed that we are able to beat every team in this league, and we already proved it. So I think it's very important that we play with our identity. Our identity means to play intense. If we don't play intense, we have no chance against Arsenal. If we don't play with courage in possession, we have no chance.
All we have to be is show the same level of consistency and a bit more, because in the last year we have been the best team in the league, broken various records, and still haven't won a major trophy. So something is missing, and it can be very tiny, it's small details. You can pick up certain games, certain situations, but at the end is that we are so close, and we just need to flick that coin to the other side to make it happen. And that's only going to happen if we do what we have to do and what we can control. The rest is out of our hands.
Yeah, like you said, something is missing, a major trophy for Arsenal. He won the FA Cup, but 5 years in charge. On Boxing Day, he celebrated 5 years since his first game. Mikel Arteta wants to win something.
Yeah, and you're probably thinking, if you finish above City, you usually win it. And then Liverpool just come along and go, nah. Well, at the moment anyway, we're not having it there. But it's a title race. They're still very much in it. I did the Brentford game, and I thought without Kai Havertz, without Declan Rice, without Saka, brilliant, mature, professional performance, solid, really impressed. Obviously, this went behind with this Mbeumo goal, which was a great little finish from him. But then after that, really controlled, and it's not an easy place to go to, Brentford. It's a bit of a fortress there, and like I said, a very, very mature performance from them.
And this is the thing, I mean, for Arsenal fans and for any neutrals who want a properly full-on title race, which I suppose is most of us, unless there are any issues with the clubs involved. But I think it's a great pity about Saka's injury, because it does just feel, after a first 4 months of the season where Arsenal to kind of... And I know there was a big talk about how much was made of the injuries, but it did feel for about 4 months, almost every single week, Arsenal had a new issue to deal with, be it a kind of a red card, being a new injury, or a player missing, or the way games went, and some of their own making, of course. But it feels like they've come through that, and they're properly on, say, last season's form now, where they went on that run. But of course, to perpetuate that, you do need your best players on, and Saka there. So I think they're suddenly in a really good place at the moment, as illustrated by that win against Brentford. But now just missing someone who is arguably their best player, and it does feel maybe that could cost them if they go on one of these runs. But as regards the weekend, I mean, I think this is a fixture similar to Brentford in the way it's an upwardly mobile team, a difficult place to go to, if not quite the record of Brentford's. It's a tough game, but with the way they came through that match during the week, I do think Arsenal will find a way again. They'll be cannier than Brighton, I think.
They drew last time out, and of course that was the Rice red card.
Yeah.
Arsenal, as you mentioned, had a couple of red cards at the start of the season that really played so much of this game with 10 men and drew 1-1.
Was that this season?
Yeah, I know it feels like forever ago. But
is that some nice weather?
31st of August,
wow.
And it was the time wasting.
He kicked it away slightly, didn't he?
Kicking the ball away.
The thing about that game as well, I think it was the first sign of something a little bit different with Arsenal, because as you mentioned about, you would think if you finish ahead of City, you win the league. And there was a sense in the last season, in the build-up to this season, that Arteta became obsessed with the final details to make up the gap to City, which is why I think they went to a bit more of a pragmatic approach. But in doing that, maybe you lose what makes you great, which is like an opposition managers talk about when Arsenal are on song, they're almost unplayable because there's attacks coming at you from everywhere. And this game was almost a clear example of that, where Arsenal went 1-0 up, then tried to lock up the game. But once they lost Rice, they weren't able to shift, and it was almost needless 2 points dropped. And that's been a bit of a recurring theme this season.
Kaz, big question then. The window is open. They don't have Bukayo Saka. Gabriel Jesus is back on scoring form, but do they still need a striker? If you were Mikel Arteta, he's talked about something missing. What's missing in his squad?
To be fair, I think they needed a left winger. I don't think they needed a striker. And even more so now Bukayo Saka's out. I think Nwaneri was brilliant the other day, young lad, but he's only young. You can't put that much pressure on. I think he's 18, so he's quite young. But I always felt Kai Havertz could do a job as that 9, and I always thought I like Martinelli, but I think they needed another kind of... If you think about Liverpool, they had, when they won it, they had Salah and Mane, and you think now they just had two, and I think they just needed another winger, and I don't think he is the number 9 for me.
The issue with Martinelli, I suppose, I mean, he's excellent, especially when he's on form. He can be as devastating as anyone. I suppose it's the consistency that, like, Arsenal maybe would have expected him to develop in terms of productivity in the same way Saka has, where it hasn't quite happened. I mean, the one they really like is Nico Williams from Athletic Bilbao, but he's always wanted to go to Barcelona, but then Barcelona's situation where they might be able to sign people, but
he's a top player.
Yeah, but that'll be one for the summer rather than January.
Yeah, because there's a release clause issue there as well. Right, so when we come back, we will get our
train today, and if everybody's fine, they should be available.
That's about Raheem Sterling as well. Is he like, what's the update on him?
Yeah, I think he's starting to do some stuff on the pitch, so that's great news. So yeah, as quick as possible, we want him available. Let's see how he progresses next week, and then see if we get him available for the following week.
Just finally a couple as well. Ben White and Tommy Asu, how they get on?
Ben is still a few weeks away, and Tommy again has done some stuff on the pitch, but now it's to see. Obviously, it's been a long-term injury, and we need to see how quickly he can progress and how Danny reacts, but hopefully good.
Declan Rice, he was on the bench for the Brentford game. He's got 8 games coming up for the rest of January. Is that something you're going to have to continue doing, which is manage the minutes of all your players?
Yeah, on his case especially, he plays so much football. We had 9 games in this period, in this month, and he has some niggles in the last few games. He had to come off, and yeah, we have to manage every player, and he's not an exception for sure.
I think after the game against Brentford, you said you're really happy with the players that you have here. But if you were to say, is it more likely that you'll sign someone in January, or more likely that you won't sign someone in January?
I don't know. Again, because the focus is with the players that we have. It's something extraordinary in the market that we can afford, and we believe that it's going to have a real impact in the team. We have to be open for that possibility always, because that's why we have the ability to change the squad, to improve the squad in the windows. But at the moment, the focus is what we have.
In terms of what you do you see anyone maybe leaving this January? Someone like Kieran perhaps? What do you think is going to happen with him?
Again, all the players that they are there, I just want to focus on performing and impacting the team, and if something happens there, we will assess it.
Just finally, Ethan Waneri, it was a really impressive
Yeah.
performance from him against Brentford. Is he the most natural replacement, you think, for Bukayo Saka while he's out?
I mean, he's a player can play in various positions. It's not a position that is played a lot, to be fair, even when he was in the academy level. But yeah, he can adapt basically for the demands that we have in 2-3 positions, and I think he did really well the other day.
Go to Nick from the Premier League.
Hello.
Good seeing you. Can I please ask you about Mikel Merino? The start of his journey at Arsenal wasn't easy. He picked up an injury immediately, but since then he settled really well. Gives you a really strong balance in midfield as well. How would you reflect the way he settled here and the value he gives in midfield?
Yeah, well, we expected a very fast integration because he's playing the league, because he's such an intelligent and experienced player, and I think he fits very well our model. The thing is that, as you said, he had an injury,